Welcome to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. We believe all investments have merit, all investments have relevance, and all investments have their time and place depending on you, your objectives, and your goals. My name is Seth Krussman, and I'm joined here once again with John Ryder and Ben Brayshaw. We're all planners and partners with Brayshaw Financial Group. Good morning, guys.
Hey, Seth. Good morning.
Good morning, Seth.
Why does that always make me laugh? I just love you guys. Thank you for that.
Love you,
appreciate that. We are glad to have you listening to Money on Tap. If you're looking to sit down with an advisor and start making some of the right steps towards your financial goals, well, we welcome the opportunity to do that with you. And you can reach us at 855-226-8551. That's 855-226-8551. Or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. You can also find us at Facebook/3D Investing. Now today, we are going to spend some time or some more time discussing some of these tax cuts in the Jobs Act. And I don't think that there's really a whole lot of people out there that realize, what some of the good things are that are, maybe coming through in our economy. And in turn, what that means to each of us as taxpayers.
Seth, I agree with you. As we're talking to...
Wait. Did you just say you agree with Seth?
I do. It's a rare thing. It's a rare thing.
It's on recording, too. That's good, Seth. Good for you.
No, but, Seth, we're talking to people every day, and, they've heard about the tax cut. There's a lot of noise. We've talked about this in the past before. There's a lot of noise about what's going on with the tax bill, but I think that the tax reform that we've had in our country is a very good thing for our country going forward and for our economy as a whole. And today we're going to press down a little bit and talk about some of the positive things that are happening or are going to happen as a result of the Trump tax plan. Of course, with every good thing that comes along, there are two sides of every coin, so there's some things that may not be great about it. But we're going to talk about a little bit just about the corporate tax rate, what that means for Americans going from 35% down to 21%. It really represents a great benefit that ultimately will mean more money for Americans as a whole. And there are many that say this will, in the end, only benefit corporations or the rich. But I think there's more benefit, not just to those corporate fat cats out there, but there's certainly benefits to those that are working in those corporations and for middle America as a whole. Before we get into that, it's time to discuss money in the news. Yes, it's that time to talk about some of the headlines out there which have to do with money. So not only with money, but we're going to talk about a little bit about sports today. Ben, did you happen to watch the football game this past weekend?
There was a football game?
There was a football game. I don't know if you saw it, Seth. Did you see the football game this past weekend?
Are we still in football season?
We are in I know it's miserable for you talking about football right now, Seth, but we are going to talk about football
not at
just
all.
a little
Football
bit.
brings us together.
Do they have a JV team out your way?
A what?
Do they have a JV?
Junior
football?
varsity.
Junior
Seth.
varsity.
Did you just
team?
say that? Did you ask me if we have a JV football team out on the left coast? Oh,
All I can see is, guys, I saw a picture of Tom Brady on the internet. Don't know if this was accurate or not, but he had 6 fingers on his hand, and I don't know why he had 6 fingers. Someone was saying something about was the fact that he had one surgically attached because he's going to need it for his 6th Super Bowl ring.
Ouch.
Is that
careful.
what that was on his hand this last week? That
No.
bandit?
So somebody sent me a picture, because his hand was cut, and
Yeah.
said, "Hey, listen, I got a friend, who's a doctor, said here's a you can see the problem with his hand," and it was an X-ray of his hand, and all you could see the 5 rings on there. And I texted him back and said, "I think I see some arthritis too."
I think Tom Brady has more memes on him right now. I just saw one of Tom highlighted, has him kind of like in this Gandalf outfit with a Lord of the Rings outfit on, and I thought that was probably pretty accurate. But, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here, but has anyone seen how much it costs if you want to be at the game, at the big game, the big dance out in Minnesota? Do you guys know how much it actually costs to go out to see that game?
Yes. Lowest price ticket I could find was $3,500.
Okay, so you found $3,500. Ben, did you snatch up 5 for your family, 5 or 6 for your family?
No.
You did not. Okay.
I did not.
Neither did I. So you can get tickets as high as right now. This is what I was seeing online. they can run as high as $66,000. But you know what was comforting, Seth? When I read about the $66,500 ticket, they said that the food that you can get there is unlimited. So I thought that was kind of, if you think about it, that's really probably not the worst deal in the world, right? If you get free food and all that kind of stuff, that's kind of
now it's a bargain, right?
Well, it's just you got to do your shopping. So anyway, we always know that the Super Bowl is always a hot ticket, and I think it probably has it has certainly the most expensive advertising. If you want to advertise on the Super Bowl, I don't think Brayshaw Financial Group is advertising the Super Bowl this year. Maybe Super Bowl 53 or 54, but
I think we did in the past years.
In the past,
yes.
Yeah,
in the past.
Yeah,
but,
we got so many investors. We just had to turn them away. Yeah.
I heard news that they were going to change Gillette to Brayshaw Stadium.
No,
is that right?
No.
We turned that one down too.
We turned it down.
Want bigger venues.
Yeah.
Bigger venues. So listen to this. Entry-level tickets for the Patriots versus Eagles matchup on most reselling services like StubHub, SeatGeek, Vivid Seats, all that. They start in the $4,500 to $5,000 range. A set of 6 ninth-row seats. How could you possibly see it from 9 rows back? A set of 6 ninth-row seats along the 40-yard lines are currently going for $12,900 each on SeatGeek, while one pair of seats in the same area on the NFC team side with unlimited food and drinks are available for $66,650
I got
each.
6 of those, John.
That's
what I got.
That's
I got
right.
6 of those.
Yeah. Hopefully they gave you some kind of a deal for buying in bulk.
No, I offered extra. I offered to pay more because they had 6.
So
It's an unusual number.
So, sometimes we talk about inflation on the show. the inflation for tickets is 8% more expensive than last year.
Wow.
So ticket prices are going up.
I'm still wondering why I haven't seen a calendar invite from either one of you to go to
you
the
just check
Super
your
Bowl
inbox
this
after
year.
the show. I'm sure you'll see that.
Okay.
Sure you will. But, it's funny because not only does the NFL just make huge dollars on this, especially in a year where it hasn't been exactly positive for the NFL. Everything from, Roger Goodell and all the people, the football players kneeling during the national anthems, all that kind of thing. It hasn't been positive press, but for some reason they're still able to
Honestly, when that started happening, I stopped watching.
Yeah, I think most
I was
of us
glad.
did.
I was glad the Pats dealt with that however they did because that's just inappropriate. It's not a stage for political venue. It's an opportunity to play a sport everyone loves and enjoys to watch, not to, create adversity.
In addition,
being from the Portland area and Seattle kind of being our de facto team over here in Portland, I probably have nothing to say about that. We were like the most politically active team on the planet this year, and we're not in the Super Bowl, folks. So I don't know if that's a direct correlation.
Shut his microphone off. Just shut it off. Just shut it off.
No, but it's true. It's true. It's not a political venue.
Sure. And they make it that way.
Yeah, and
sure.
Like you look at the Patriots, it's like that's their job. They look at it as their job, and from their job, it's like it's not about hanging your hat on a political stance. It's about doing what you're called to do, what people are paying for you to do. And
right.
Look at
Twitter.
Look at Colin Kaepernick.
Really
the guy cannot get a quarterback job because he didn't handle himself well. Yeah.
Twitter really is the correct platform if you're looking to make any kind of political statement these days.
As our president would advise.
Well,
yes,
that's right.
Exactly.
Yes.
So for sure. Hey, so not only are Super Bowl ticket prices going like crazy, but if you just want to get a regular single room or king size bed at the Ramada Hotel in Minneapolis, $909 per night, shot up by a lot. So it's amazing really how the Super Bowl tends to attract money. But if we think that getting seats at the Super Bowl is expensive and difficult for most of us to do that, you should check out a ticket around the moon. So Elon Musk is in the news here. He is talking about having 2 space tourists every year going to the moon. And Seth, can you guess how much it would cost for you if you were to take you and your lovely wife around the moon for a week? What the going price would be, starting price?
Yeah, well, having already priced this out once we found out that there was an opportunity for us to do this, and we did put this in our budget for I think 2020 if
Yes,
I'm not
yes,
mistaken.
yes.
I'll have to double check with Kira on that.
Yep.
Yeah, roughly 300 million, I think, is what I
Yes.
saw those tickets going for.
The thing is,
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to know out there that you just need to save in advance. Put a savings plan together. And if 2020 is your year, Seth, then you need to be stocking some money away. And I'm sure you're doing that, and that's terrific because it's going to be neat to get the postcards from you, buddy.
That's what I'm using our health savings account for.
Nice.
Savings account. Nice. Can you, I mean,
It's a whole different world.
Hearing all this stuff that we joked around about as kids, like, in movies and everything, it was just kind of, but this stuff's like turning out to be real today. I mean, I just thinking about being a tourist and going to the moon, and you think about how, the astronauts have been put through,
That rigorous training. And all
the
that.
rigorous training to survive. And now we're like, oh, yeah, you want to take a ride?
So there's actually two people that have already have paid for this, have paid a significant deposit up front for this, and stuff that I know it's probably not you. But Elon Musk is not, the company is not going to identify who these people are. He said they are not Hollywood people. These are private citizens, no one from Hollywood, and they're very, very serious about making the trip. And he said they have placed a significant deposit. So he didn't actually say what the actual mission's cost would be. He said that was confidential. But he said he estimated that it was going to be a little bit more than a crewed flight to and from the International Space Station aboard a Dragon 2 spacecraft.
Yeah. My money's on my favorite Scientologist, Tom Cruise.
Oh,
I think
there
think
could be
that's
some possibilities there.
yeah.
So how many people can he take at a time?
It's just two. I guess he does two, which is unbelievable. And he wants to do two, going out several
This is
years.
not
so
a family trip.
There's
no station wagon.
No
involved?
station wagon at all. So 2018 is the first year. Then 19 he wants to do it again. And 20, when Seth's going, will be the third trip that they take out.
I can't wait to see the National Lampoon's moon vacation on this.
No, it is just crazy.
Yeah, it is amazing. I actually think it would be fun to put out like a Twitter vote on this to just put out a couple of the celebs that we think might be actually in line for
who's the most
first
likely
seats.
I was kind of thinking we could put them on who's the most likely to go and who
do you want to stay out
know
there?
who do we want to stay out there? Yeah, keep them out there. Who we don't
Right
want coming
now.
back.
Hey,
yeah, I'm sure we have
right
someone with
now.
us.
Let's do
I
this.
wanna hear
How much
from
would you
you.
pay for the one celebrity you want to not return?
I want Alec Baldwin to be on
Maybe
that.
we pay for their trip. Maybe we do a fundraiser.
That's true.
That's it. Just send it into info@yourmoneyontap.com. Send those ideas of who that should be.
Okay,
and we'll
so-
go ahead and keep track.
So it all comes down to perspective. Okay, so we were talking about expensive Super Bowl tickets. You know what? Super Bowl tickets, get on the line. Let's get 10 or 15 of those right now. Not a big deal at all. Not a big deal after talking about space. That's for sure. So today we do want to spend some time talking about the tax reform bill and really how it has really opened up some possibilities for folks. But before we actually go into that, we're going to take a little break here and then we'll be back with our show.
You're listening to Money on Tap, and you can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
On this edition of Money on Tap, a runner alone in a long-distance relay race. That's how Ben Brayshaw describes the feelings of many people who are dealing with investments and retirement.
Usually no one really around you, and you're running by yourself, and it's like 6-8 miles. You're waiting for the big marker to come up to point you to go a different direction. You're like, am I on the right road? Am I going the right direction? It's all dark around me, and I'm not sure. I'm alone in this space. Yeah, this is how a lot of people feel in this world about their investments and their retirement. They feel like they're running on a pitch black road. They think they're going in the right direction. They're pretty sure. They're not exactly aware of where to stop and ask for help. This is where people like us come alongside, and we bring a lot of light with us. When you have a planner, you have someone like in the conversation I had today, it's bringing all those pieces together because you have this 401k or whatever retirement plan you have at work, then you have your home, and then you have some other assets outside of that. You're basically trying to funnel that all into this one item called retirement. And I think ultimately, most planners, most firms just look at the assets outside your home and outside your 401k, and those are the two largest assets.
Sure.
So how can you really do planning when all you're looking at is just a small picture of what's really going on? And we have to have a holistic viewpoint, and we need to really break in to getting you to have a successful retirement event, whether it's at 35, whether it's at 45, 55, or 65, whatever that time period is. That's where you have to have your trajectory set and ready to go and get the help.
Stay that course.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for this Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, with great tips from the pros in three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. Now here's more Money on Tap with Seth, Ben, and John.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters. We're bringing out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
You know, guys, the Heritage Foundation puts out an article fairly regularly called Issue Brief. And there's a economist named Adam Michael. And Adam Michael has put out an article that talks about the benefits of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And he starts out his article, I think very interestingly, by saying this: the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is the most sweeping update to the U.S. tax code in more than 30 years. The reforms will simplify tax paying for many individual Americans, lower taxes on individuals and businesses, and update the business tax codes so that American corporations and the people they employ can be globally competitive again. And he continues on. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act has the potential to unleash higher wages, more jobs, and untold opportunity through a larger and more dynamic economy. The bill's pro-growth components include a deep reduction in the corporate tax rate, a scaled-back state and local tax deduction, full, albeit temporary expensing, and lower individual tax rates. The bill also repeals Obamacare's individual mandate, expands college savings accounts, and increases some non-growth enhancing tax credits and deductions. So Adam here, Mr. Michael, certainly has a optimistic view going forward.
Boy, I'm not hearing that a lot in the news.
You just are not. I mean, I think every time, it seems like every time I'm watching the news, every time I turn the radio on, there's always something about, well, this tax cut is designed for the wealthy to get richer and richer and richer. It's not gonna help the middle class people at all. In fact, there's a lot of erroneous reporting out there about what this tax bill is going to do and what it's not going to do. So today we want to spend a little bit of time talking about that.
Why do you think, I mean, to me, in going through this topic, it's interesting because we have people walking in the office regularly asking, how is this going to affect me? Is this good for me? Is this tax, change a good?
Are there benefits to me?
Yeah. How is it? Am I going to save money? I mean, people really want to know, is this going to be a positive impact for me? And it's just amazing to me because there's ups and downs in everything, right? I mean, there's positives and negatives and everything. But I think what has really been missed in the news is some of the things that are holes that I think were kind of filled inside our tax situation that was kind of clogging the ability for us to grow or deal with people who don't make a lot of money in some cases. And we're going to get into that. But it's just amazing to me how little good communication about this tax bill is available for people. The other thing that's interesting is I was listening to a news commentator, I can't even remember which show it was, but they were talking about how most people said it's going to be quite a while before the digestion of the entire tax law changes will actually pour out. There's so much more to it.
Yeah, more than just in February coming out when people see increases in their, bonuses, and they see increases on their
exactly
their incomes.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think what I'd like to do is just kind of break this down a little bit, and we're going to go very, very briefly on this. I know, Seth, before the show we were talking about this a little bit, about corporations, and I just want to spend a little bit of time on that. But there was actually a very, very significant – so I can see sometimes how people would say, well, wow, this really just benefited corporations, because there's a major tax cut to corporations from 35% down to 21% in 2018. So historically, if we take a look at it, U.S. businesses have faced some of the highest statutory corporate tax rates in the developed world. And so getting a huge tax break like this, I do believe, will certainly spur investment in the United States.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Like when you take a look at like the U.S. corporate tax rates and you compare those globally. Okay, so basically the tax rate that we've had here, the 35%, is one of the highest globally, and then to bring that back in a line of a 21%, which actually winds up being around a cumulative of 26%, is actually higher than the average of 23% globally. So I mean, some of the things that are out there as far as ideas that we have as a culture is, hey, let's try to create more jobs, right? Let's try to boon our economy, right? Ben, you're looking like I'm not. I'm kind of taking it off script here a little bit, huh?
No, you're fine. You're fine. I just was listening to you. It's good. Go, baby.
Oh, that was funny. So, let's try to boon our economy here. Let's try to shore up some of these, the ability for us to, as the U.S., to be able to be sustainable. And really, we do have some disparity as far as what is our level of income and compared to the world. There's a lot of those different factors out there, but we still do experience the effect of our economy here today. And one of the things that we can do is to basically influence more business. That's what that does, is if we bring that down in line with kind of more of what's the globe doing as far as the corporate tax rates, that's going to influence more business to be sustainable here long term. And there's also room for the argument of like, well, that's not enough. We need to bring that a little bit lower into that, basically the average of 23% globally. And so that might just be a temporary step in the direction. There might be more room for us to move. We'll see.
I think there's a common misconception out there that this tax cut here is only benefiting corporations. But I think with corporate taxes being cut, I think there's certainly more chance for private investment along the way, and I think that will be very attractive to other countries.
I think the thing that's being missed is that, and this goes back to a little bit of Reagan economics on a lot of levels, but people don't understand the three-dimensional movement of money, and even some of those big Congress and senators don't even understand it. They don't understand how things work financially. I mean, I've met a lot of people who are, very competent and very capable in their domains, but when it comes to financial thinking and three-dimensional understanding of how money moves throughout an economy, throughout even a personalized budget. I mean, we meet people, and I'm sure there's a lot of people listening today. It's like, oh gosh, am I going to have enough money to pay X, Y, Z next month? And then, oh, I do. And for us, some of the stuff is a lot more simple because it's what we do, and it's how our minds think, and it's how we work. And the biggest problem is that a lot of people aren't putting three-dimensional perspectives of how money moves, and they look at the glass half empty a lot of the times because they can't see the glass is half full in other ways. And I think that's some of the stuff I'd really like to go through in some of this article and some of the other articles we've uncovered here.
I recently saw I think it's a YouTube video of a guy named Gary Kahn. He's President Donald Trump's chief economic advisor. I think he still is. I don't know. He seems like he's clearing a lot of people out of there. I heard John Kelly's going pretty soon. I like the hang
What a merry-go-round that is.
Yeah, he did. So anyways, I'm not sure if Gary Kahn is still there, but I remember seeing him speaking to a group of CEOs, and he asked many of them, "Hey, do you think as a result of this tax cut that there's going to be an increase in investment from corporations?" And it says the resulting show of hands was underwhelming, and many critics have seized on this episode as a gotcha against the tax plans. But that is the wrong conclusion to draw. There's this guy, Tyler Cowan, who's writing an article. He says the first and most general rejoinder is simply that asking business people is not our best or most reliable source of information about policies. For instance, business people often believe and will testify accordingly that increases in the minimum wage will boost unemployment significantly. There's an extensive debate in the economics profession about this question, but the testimony of business people is hardly taken to be decisive, even though they are the ones doing the hiring. He goes on to say, many economic effects operate without all of the participants knowing exactly what is driving the final result. For instance, more cash in corporate coffers could induce managers to develop more good project ideas for the CEO. The CEO might feel he or she is responding to the higher quality of project ideas rather than to the corporate rate cut per se. So when it comes to corporate taxes, having them reduced, I think across the board is going to be helpful for the American people.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, I think the correlation that's interesting here is like the causation, the direct relationship when asked if a business person is asking, is this cut in the tax rate going to influence more investing? They're not necessarily sitting down and saying, I'm going to look at an economy over a period of 10 years and see what is the direct relationship, or what is the relationship over time with corporate tax rates being cut. They're not looking at that. They're looking like it says at a project and saying, hey, do we have money to be able to grow? And that's like that is the culture, or that is the way that a company will work, is it will look at the capital available and then decide, hey, can we grow? How do we grow? That's the question constantly, is how do we make money, and then how do we grow? And that's really the whole point of capital market, is to recycle resources into the most profitable new opportunities. And there's no way for them to be able to sit around a table and say there's a direct relationship to this, to that. And that's why they're raising their hands, or not raising their hands, saying yes to this.
Well, when we repatriate money into the U.S. and that money's going to be spent here.
That was in the news with Apple just recently. Wasn't it $252 billion?
$252 billion they're bringing back, which they're going to pay $38 billion in taxes. Now, there's a ton of articles out there saying how Apple's saving more than that in tax savings because they're bringing the money back. But the truth is that they wouldn't have brought the money back without the tax change.
So that's all money that we wouldn't have in our country.
We would have gotten zero. You can't talk about what you didn't get. You want to be happy that you got something. And now Apple's going to spend that money in the U.S. They're going to spend a lot of it in the U.S. And that's going to, that might be in design, right? But that might be in that huge that facility Apple built. I can't remember. It's in the Midwest.
And they're building more of them now. They're shopping for more places here in the U.S.
Yeah. They're going to build buildings. Buildings are going to require people to build them. Those people get W-2 paychecks. They pay taxes. Then they build this building, and once it's complete, they hire people to fill it, which are also jobs, which also, getting them to bring the money back to the U.S. is probably the very best, in my opinion, tax cut that we could have done. I think that was a little bit of genius, on Trump's end. I thought that since the day he was running on that.
So let's do this. Let's take a break, and when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about really more what it boils down to us as Americans. Okay, we've talked a little bit about corporations, talked a little bit about that. But when we come back from our break, let's talk a little bit about how this individual reform, what it looks like for us, for Joe and Nancy on the street. They're making $50,000 a year, or $75,000, or $100,000. What does it look like to them? We'll spend some time talking about that after our break.
You're listening to Money on Tap, and you can reach us at info@yourmoneyontap or 855-226-8551.
Hello, my name is John Ryder, a partner with Brayshaw Financial Group and one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. 10,000 Americans are turning 65 every day, and planning a successful retirement today is more challenging than ever, with a roller coaster stock market, political and economic uncertainty, and so many unknowns when it comes to the escalating costs of healthcare. Let us show you how we utilize the 3D method of investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. Using our experience, let us help you plan for a successful retirement. Now is the right time to start getting help. Give us a call at Brayshaw Financial Group at 855-226-8551. Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, we have offices across the country. We would love the opportunity to meet with you. There's absolutely no cost or obligation to meet with us, and we welcome you to our offices. Call 855-226-8551 today.
A lengthy vacation requires some thoughtful and detailed planning, and few people would go on such a trip without the necessary preparation. On our Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, Seth Krussman shows us with his example that the same care and thoughtfulness should also be given to our retirement planning.
This is a journey. This is a project that you have an opportunity to invest in and to uncover and identify how you want to live your life. And I think how many times, we go on vacation. A great friend of mine took his whole family on a mission trip to Guatemala this last year. And that looked like a tremendous adventure. And how much planning does it take to get that to happen? I have no problem involving myself in creating a plan around something like that. And if I can get my mindset to be thinking that way, like, wow, I am planning the largest vacation of my life. How much fun can that be? And I can't wait to sit down and talk to you about that, right?
Thanks for joining us for this Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, with great tips from the pros in three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. Now here's more Money on Tap with Seth, Ben, and John.
Welcome back. You are listening to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. You can also find us at Facebook at 3D Investing. Today we're going to spend some more time. We've been discussing in taxes and the tax cuts that we've seen come across the board here, but we've been talking about the corporate side of that and how that will, have some effect in our economy here. In some of the ways that Apple bringing money back to the U.S. might look like, and other companies doing the same thing, how that might roll out. But we're actually going to spend more time here on the personal side, which is what is this going to look like for you and I as tax season kind of rolls out and we start to see some of these changes happen for us.
So Adam Michael from the Heritage Foundation continues on talking about individual tax reform and what that will mean. He says this: for a vast majority of Americans, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act will lower their federal tax bill in the 2018 tax year. This is accomplished through lower tax rates, a larger standard deduction, and expanded child tax credit. So if we take a look across the board, I think what we heard from the media across the board was, well, this is only going to benefit the rich. But when we do look at the tax cuts across the board, we see that it really reaches out to the middle class and is very, very generous to the middle class. In fact, he mentions lower individual tax rates. The framework lowers rates for almost every single tax bracket. The current 7 brackets remain, but with new, generally higher income thresholds and lower rates, meaning you can make more money and pay less tax. And that's very powerful for investors out there, for workers out there.
It gives people money to spend. It energizes our country. I mean, if we gave every American a few $1,000s, which is basically what they're trying to accomplish here, and when you break it down, I mean, if you're making $80,000-$90,000 a year, it works out to about $2,500 for that family. That's not a rich family. I mean, that's a husband and wife working, two jobs, making $43,000 a year each. Or a husband making $60,000 and a wife making $20,000 in a part-time job while she races to school to pick up the kids. I mean, this is not this is the core, the essence of America right here. That's going to get $2,500 in their pocket.
And also, when you add to that, we're looking at a larger standard deduction. So the standard deduction has almost doubled, and so for married joint filers, the deduction will be $24,000. For single filers, it will be $12,000. And what that does is it really just means that people get to keep more of their money in their pocket.
Well, basically when people file, they have to go over certain numbers. These numbers are basically doubled. It was basically 6 and 12 for single and married before. And now it's, 12 and 24.
All right. And this is for middle-class folks. We're not talking, this is not the rich here that we're talking about. This is for middle-class folks.
And the limitations on this are, basically on mortgage interest. You can only write so much off in your mortgage. Well, the reason for that is they're trying to, protect the people who own the super wealthy homes and, give the benefit to the people who don't have the super wealthy homes. So that's again, a focus on middle class. I mean, that's essentially what they're trying to hit here. I think the automatic deduction is going to help a lot of people because I know people who make a decent living, but honestly, it was too costly for them to own. And so they went down and simplified their life and they rented. This automatic deduction increase is just going to help them across the board. I mean, most of the people, the reason why deductions are so common and such a big topic in our country is because we have such a large small business population who file their taxes and they deduct everything under the sun, right? I mean, you've got electric, you've got all the utilities,
office space, whatever it may
be. Space. You've got so many deductions out there. It makes your taxes tremendously complicated. And by the time you're done paying someone to do it, you're not sure if you really saved much. But that automatic deduction was missing for a big chunk of middle class that were saying, hey, we're just cusping these limits. We're not really getting a fair shake at this, where if I opened up a small business, just opening up a small business made your taxes better across the board.
Sure. Another thing that, Ben, I was talking with you earlier this week was about the new 2000 child tax credit. That also has been doubled. It was 1,000. Now it's 2,000. Ben, didn't you say you're going to go out and have a bunch more kids now? I think that was your strategy. I don't know.
My wife will kill me.
Yeah, she's done it for, right? but that really is a wonderful thing, because we were talking about the fact that it's a actual child tax credit. This is not a refund. This is a credit. So even if you're not paying any taxes, you have the ability to get a tax credit for having kids.
Right. This is, it's kind of one of these things, right? If you had a deduction, you'd have to have $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 of giving away money to get a deduction to save that much in taxes. This is just a straight credit. I mean, this is a huge deal, and something that honestly I thought our country has needed to address for a long, long time. I mean, it's just something that's just been it's not been a topic of conversation, but when you really think about it, it costs a lot to raise a child, and way more than the
all the standard,
the stuff here that we've got.
Sure.
But we have this aging population. We have this demographic that we don't have enough kids in this country. Now now depending on the conversation, some people might have a 35 or 40-year-old kid living at home. But in taking that around, we need to create a young population quickly. We need to enhance the incentives. I even think we should be doing more. I think we should do more to encourage people to have more kids, because we need to offset the failure that we have in the financial system, in Social Security, pensions, the workforce. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, well, if you think about, we all look at Social Security, and we all see that there is an issue with the Social Security. And I know, Ben, you've talked at length about that, but the fact is that we don't have as many taxpayers putting in anymore as are taking out. And so, Ben, you've talked a lot about the aging population and how the 65-plus population is surging. There's going to be a crazy amount of people retiring, but there's going to be more people drawing off of retirement systems than actually putting into it, and that's a problem.
Part of what we can do more, and actually just got written into the code now, as far as how do we help parents with their kids and their planning and this path that they're on, especially in education, being a big part of what we've been needing more shoring up maybe in our economies or in our culture, the education piece. Basically, the point is that education, public or private, is basically the thing that we're trying to take a look at and understand. How do we move into different opportunities with our education and create better education? Well, the 529 college savings account has been a post grade 12 plan for savings and funding college
stuff, yeah.
Right. Well, that now is open to K through 12 for people that are using that as a tool, like for private education. That's I think a huge opportunity, depending especially where you live in the U.S. And what your state tax code might be. In Oregon, it's a great opportunity for people that are doing that.
This is just pointing to another middle class benefit. I mean, people who say, "Hey, my child's gifted. I've been putting away a few bucks a month to try to help save for their college education." But you know what? And we have a client, John, right, who's saved for 529s, whose child's probably going to get a full scholarship to college.
Yeah, and right now they're looking at private boarding school for her going into her 10th grade year, I think it is.
And they're like, this is going to be, she won't need to pay for college at all.
Yeah, she'll have scholarship.
This is a huge opportunity for them.
For sure.
These are great things. I mean, these are huge positives that are like for every day. I was just thinking about it, John. So, average family, 2-3 kids. But if you have 3 children, okay, and you get
and I do.
And you do, that's a $6,000 tax credit, right? That's, okay, you're in a 25% tax bracket. That's as if let's say you made a donation to charity of $24,000.
Yeah.
Your tax savings on that is $6,000, a 25% tax bracket.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent. That's a ton of money realized back to you.
Going to the middle class, once again, not just for the rich people there. Something else, Seth, that you had mentioned earlier was about the individual mandate being repealed. And Seth, you had some number somewhere you're talking about, was it 6 million households that were paying a tax because they didn't have health insurance?
This is unbelievable.
Yeah, and so this,
half,
in the past, and how it was under the Obama administration, was the fact that if you did not have health insurance or you did not opt to purchase health insurance, then the government was going to tax you And as a result of that, then you're paying a lot of money out.
Okay, Obama should be ashamed of this statistic. He literally should be like appalled that this exists based on all the work he supposedly did to protect these people.
Because who did it hit? Who did it hit?
It hit the poor.
Yeah, yeah. So, Seth, where's that? You had some stat on that, didn't you?
Yeah, 79% of the households basically had annual. Okay, so here's the numbers. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act basically. We've reversed this now. They're not we, but the code has reversed this, and that's known as the individual mandate granting additional tax relief to low and middle income families by eliminating one of the most aggressive taxes in the code. So in year 2015, there was 6,665,480 households that paid this tax, basically the tax for not having paid for individual health insurance, and about 79%, almost 80% of the households had annual incomes below $50,000.
So the people who can at least afford to pay it, we're paying it, right?
Yeah. So this is not uber wealthy people that are just like, I'm going to self-insure. No, this is people that need health insurance. This is what this whole purpose of this plan was for, was to give people in this, with these incomes to be able to afford health insurance. And 80% of them had to pay this tax for not having health insurance. And that just doesn't make any sense. And then 37% of the households that paid this tax had annual incomes below $25,000. Does that make sense?
So they couldn't afford health insurance, and then on top of that, they're
Right,
they're getting taxed for not being able to.
You're making $25,000, and you're fining these people. You're making $25,000, and then you're fining them that they don't have health insurance. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, the fact that there wasn't just like an instant exclusion based on income. I mean, some of these people might be fabricating their income. They might be doing stuff, and there's probably that
under the table stuff,
statistic. Yeah, but truth is,
minimal.
I mean, to get yourself down to 25, either you're, if you're a waiter or a waitress and you're bringing in cash tips and you're still reporting under 25, you're still at $50,000. I mean, 25. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, that just is absolutely appalling.
Yeah. Well, I can say if these people were, in the categories where basically their insurance was through the roof, to pay the tax versus paying for health insurance and self-insuring, it was exorbitant to pay health insurance. The costs were through the roof, and so paying a tax would have been the lesser.
You're making $25,000. Any cost would be through the roof.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, a few $100 a month. I mean, these are people that are probably struggling to afford, transportation, nevertheless health care.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing that really gets me frustrated is the fact that we have such a perspective in the media that everything is half empty. And there's a lot of good here. And I'm sure there's going to be abuse, and there's going to be, people packing money in their pockets. But at the end of the day, someone's going to spend that money somewhere. People don't hoard money just to hoard it. They hoard it to make more money, and then they spend it. And I think the structure here has a really good opportunity to really build into our job program, which goes on to a lot of the things that are happening. I mean, we've got bonuses going out to people. Apple's giving a bonus in stock. They give a bonus, and next thing you know, you got the news shooting them down because it was in stock and not cash. Well, honestly, Apple stock, it's not a penny junk stock. I mean, it's a solid company. It's in the Dow. So, I mean, those are the types of things that's a legitimate gift. I mean, this person can go sell it if they want to.
Sure.
But saying you're a stock owner there is not as an employee. That's a camaraderie thing. You're part of us. You're an owner here. I think there's more value in that than just giving somebody $2,500 that they're going to go blow somewhere on a vacation or a trip. It's like, hey, you're an owner with us. You're a partner in this company. That's a big deal.
Yeah, definitely building culture, building community. It's an incentive for production. It's an incentive for creativity. It's an incentive for for a belief in a company and working for a company that you believe in. That's for sure. So we've definitely covered a lot here today, you guys. Was there anything else on your plate that you felt like any burning desires?
What was the other company that Trump got a bunch of flack for? They gave a bonus and then they cut some.
So Carrier Air Conditioners was a company that was is on the southern border,
right?
And there is a lot of talk about Carrier air conditioning and about how Trump is going to come in and save jobs and all that. And so Trump got elected into office, and this tax reform act passed, and then there was a lot of refunds, or I should say a lot of cash incentives that went to the employees of Carrier air conditioning. However, not long after those bonuses went out, well, guess what happened? Some of those jobs, 600 to 700 jobs, went south, went across the border. So some people would say, well, okay, so we had a tax Trump, we had a cut from Trump. We got some bonuses, but now we've lost a bunch of jobs. I just saw something in the news the other day, Seth, about Walmart.
Sam's Club.
Yeah,
63 stores.
Yeah, a bunch of stores they cut.
It's one of my favorite places too.
Oh, hopefully you didn't lose yours, man. So there's a lot of pros, a lot of cons, but I think in the long run, hopefully what we're going to see is we're going to see an economy that is supercharged. I mean, look at this. We are seeing, and we're telling clients about this every day, we are seeing the markets every single day, almost every single day, hit new highs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And we know that's not going to continue. We constantly talk with our clients about the importance of having a well-rounded portfolio.
Protecting the downside, all those things.
Absolutely. But the fact is we are seeing growth in the economy, and I believe in reading all of the analysts that we're reading out there, they are talking about seeing a very successful 2018. Could they be wrong? Absolutely, they could be. Yeah. But if you look across the board, the fundamentals are fairly strong in our economy, and corporations are starting to spend money, and corporations are starting to see how they can make more money going forward and attract investment.
It's funny. I do remember the times where we've had pullbacks in the economy, in unemployment and so forth, and I remember Obama talking to employers saying, keep your jobs. Try to keep your jobs with the people. Let's try to build America and all of that. And the unemployment rate has dropped, or 4% range, and things are really strong. Matter of fact, there's plenty of jobs out there. People are hiring everywhere.
So if there are layoffs in certain sectors of the economy, the chances of them being able to find work is much better. And I remember years ago, people that worked in I had many clients that worked for digital, and I remember them getting laid off. Sometimes they got laid off for a long time, and sometimes they never even got back into their actual job description.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're if you've been working at Walmart or Sam's Club, maybe go take a look at Apple.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about, there's a whole other story behind that, but yeah, John, I mean, if there's ever a time to lay somebody off, it's when the economy is strong and the job opportunities are great. If you're going to trim out a company and you're going to restructure, or you're going to build out to be stronger in the future, and how you're going to move forward so you can potentially hire more people in a different distinction or a different role or a different effort, this is the time to do it. And the companies are giving bonuses. Some people are laying off. They're restructuring. They're reshaping their company, and they're restructuring all sorts of pieces to embrace the new tax code. And that's just the way it works. But man, I'm actually happy that if someone's going to get laid off right now, it's going to happen in this time period instead of a time period where we're at 8, 9, 10% unemployment.
And if you're listening today and you are one of those people losing your jobs, it never feels good getting laid off, and there's always a lot of uncertainty out there. But the thing that you can look going forward, you can be positive about, is the fact that there are many different opportunities out there, and the unemployment rate being so low certainly gives you the opportunity.
It continues to drop.
Yeah. So there's opportunities out there.
Yeah, so people are having a hard time finding good workers. That's just the way that it's looked lately, and the people that I've been talking to that are trying to do the hiring are just saying what a struggle it is. Not necessarily the qualifications piece, but just trying to find people that are willing to work.
My wife
want to work.
My wife just read me an article the other day that they were saying that just because there's so many job openings out there, the fact that a lot of employers right now, just because they are looking for people to come work, a lot of employers will overlook some things. Even things such as prison time. If you've had prison time in the past, there's certain companies that say, you know what? Hey, that happened 10 years ago. Not as big a deal now. We need to have people working now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it sounds kind of crazy that you'd even talk about that, but there's so many problems. And just quickly, my son just got a job in the plumbing industry, and he was telling me that at work there's so many different people that they're there for a few weeks and then they leave. They're there for a few weeks and then they leave. Not that they leave voluntarily, but it might be substance abuse, it might be this, it might be that. But the thing is that finding qualified workers, people that will show up when they say they're going to show up, people that will do what they're going to say, people that they can actually have go into a house and be okay with them coming into someone's house and not walking off with some of their things. All that, just amazing. If you're honest, if you show up on time, if you leave on time, if you're honest about what you do, you have a very, very good chance of being able to be employed in this economy. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the trades is definitely one of those places where we've just seen it's so hard to get somebody to even show up because they're so stinking busy right now. I mean, they're like booked out months, it seems like, to be able to get somebody to show up and do any roofing, any of those trades, plumbing, electric.
And that work is not going overseas, Seth. That work is not going overseas. Yeah.
And it's a great place to be. Lots of friends, lots of people we know in the trades doing really well. And there's great opportunities there as well to really build your community. So, hey, you've been listening to Money on Tap. We've been having a lot of fun talking about the tax bill and what effect the corporations and individuals that's going to have. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And again, if you have a show idea, something that you'd like us to concept, something that you'd like us to roll out, send us an email at info@yourmoneyontap.com or give us a call. If we roll that out here on air, you'll get a hat or a T-shirt with our lovely logo with Money on Tap. Again, we appreciate you, our listener, and thanks again for sticking around with us at Money on Tap. We'll be back next week. Take care.
See you then, guys.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of this radio station and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. No strategy, product, material, or tool mentioned can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information, products, materials, or tools mentioned should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. This show may be subsidized in whole or in part by a product sponsor or issuer. Securities and advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group LLC are independent of SagePoint Financial. SagePoint Financial and Brayshaw Financial Group do not provide tax or legal advice. Main office is located at 116 South River Road, Bedford, New Hampshire, 03110, and can be reached at toll-free 855-226-8551.